I'm just finishing up on my lunch, so I apologize. Don't let me slow you guys down.
You're good. It's lunchtime, so
Eat
um,
your food.
especially there, that could be actually encouraged
Right.
to use this time to um, knock out two birds with one stone.
Right?
I remember when I first brought up an idea before I realized you were already planning this. I mentioned maybe we could do this at the end of the day with a couple beers.
Yeah, I'm um, I'm usually don't have the best energy. This
At
is
the end.
this is the tail end of my energy. Usually I have actually from 1 to 3 or 2 to 4, depending, is my dip in circadian. Is that the word
Yeah.
Circadian rhythm.
in my rhythm? So, and then I think I compound it by eating, all of that, and so yeah, I'm
Well,
trying to be mindful of eating better foods that aren't tiring.
let's be honest. It also would have been more of a bitch session and less productive.
Right.
Yeah.
Commiserating.
Yeah. So yeah, I ate a little earlier, so I'm good. I'm like I said, I'm trying to do lighter lunches. Um, are you, Dana? You're into fitness. Are you very wise in the ways of nutrition?
About a quarter to a half of the year. I
So
am.
you know what to
I'm
do, but you may not always do it.
correct. I'm on the tail end. I got to start getting back in shape again. I'm on that end of the spectrum right now. Usually, I've already started doing my health kick like earlier in the year, and it's usually going well by now. But then you hit the wrestling season, and I fall off. But yeah. So no, right now I'm not doing horrible, but I definitely am not doing like I used to. And normally when I'm doing good, I do the intermittent fasting and I count my calories, and I find that helps. I kind of need to count the calories because it not everybody does, but I need a alarm bell. Like I know what I should do, but seeing the number when you have to enter it in, that hurts me more. You know what I mean? Like that makes me go, oh, I fucked up.
I
So
was
then I
gonna say,
think
what is
about
your
it when I'm
alarm
doing
bell?
stuff.
Your alarm bell is
Like
actually the calorie count for the day.
right, or like just putting it in. Like if I, especially if I get in the habit when I'm doing well, I do it as I'm making my meal. So I have an idea. So
Yeah.
I'll be sitting there, I'll be punching things in. I'm like, well, that's not a good choice. Like it just makes it. And every now and then you say, well, fuck it, I'm going to do it anyway. But like, it's just if you have to look at the number and most of the things that are terrible for us, like it's obvious. Like you're putting that number in, you're like, well, that's going to be 1,000 calories for what I don't actually think will be functionally
Yeah.
useful. Maybe I'll make a different choice today.
I'm more of a lagging indicator in a bad way. I wait to weigh myself.
Yeah,
Then
right.
it's too late.
Yeah, yeah.
But I was never a calorie counter. I just thought life's too short. As much as I love scorecard data for business in indicators, and um, I usually figure I weigh myself once or twice a week, and I eat the same stuff day in and day out, and it's
Hmm.
about the same quantities. I know when I'm gonna overeat. I know. I've been lately trying to take the attitude of I'm pretty rigid and disciplined during the week, but come Friday and Saturday, um, I tend to let the reins off a little bit. But Sunday, I get back to healthy, so I'm ready to go on Monday for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
I've
my.
I've lost 10 pounds out of nowhere.
Did
I
you intend
well,
to?
I can't say out of nowhere because I intentionally started fasting once a week. I tried to do it just on Monday. I tried to do it the next week and forgot all about it. And then following week, I was like, well, I'll do it again on Monday. And I'd go 24 full hours. And then next thing I know, so I eat Sunday night, I eat Monday night. It was very easy to get through. And then next thing I know, Tuesday, I'm waking up, I'm not hungry.
Yeah.
And I can go longer in the day. So fasting is very easy.
I
Yeah.
agree. I do some fast. I do the same thing you, 4 o'clock on Sunday. We'll do kind of healthy eating Sunday and then just be try to eat an early dinner at 4 and then just not eat again until 4 on Monday.
I
Um,
find as my appetite shrinks, I actually eat healthier regardless because
Hmm.
I'm just thinking differently. I don't know.
Your,
yeah,
your cravings change too. You don't, if you, it, you know, that's why it's like usually it's a slow progression fall off for me too. It's like I get busy, so then I do fast food, and then you start to crave that stuff again.
yeah,
But if you get
yeah,
off of that, you don't crave it as much because you're actually healthily full and like you're in the right. You said that stuff is it's a self-perpetuating cycle. Like they've designed that food to really f with us. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I find
yeah,
fasting is the best way for me too. Like it's a I have a limited amount of willpower. If I use it in a moment where I'm not, just say, well, I'm not going to eat right now, that's a lot easier than using it for multiple meals and whatever. Yeah, it just makes the whole decision like path less willpower intensive, I find. Because then I
yeah.
then I just say no, I don't eat until this time, and that's like that's a single choice. Seems weird, but to me in my head, that's a single choice. No matter how many times I run into something, it's like nope, I eat at 3 or whatever, and then I don't have to keep deciding every meal to be smart. But
I think that aligns with my mode of like being in the healthy mode. If I'm happen to be like really doing well, it's like a momentum thing, I think. And when I start slippery sloping off, and it's just like, I haven't eaten healthy for days. What the hell's another
right,
bad meal?
right.
right,
So anyway, yeah, I have my little things to kind of get me back. The good news, I not like when I was younger. I have those checkpoints or those things that are like, wait a minute, all right, you've gone too far. Go get back going again, get healthy again. My
yeah,
reset is a sauna. I may be lazy and not want to work out or eat well, but there's something about just I get myself to get into the club, take a long sauna, and that kind of gets my mental back to, all right, I'm doing something healthy here, and then it kind of triggers for me to move on and do the rest for it.
yeah,
I've told you about my faith before, and fasting is actually the way to heal, in the Bible.
I think it's very spiritual for sure. When I did a 5 day fast once,
Right.
and that was incredibly, I think, spiritual. It was very, connecting. It was very, it affected me a lot in my emotions and my mindset and to achieve it. I mean, it was really hard.
Same, if I know anybody that is sick or is just getting a cancer sentence, I'm telling them not to eat.
Yeah.
yep,
Stop eating because 72 after 72 hours, your body starts reproducing and fighting as it's designed to do, but
Yeah.
it's tired when we're force feeding ourselves.
hmm
No, I definitely I it was almost like a feel good for an accomplishment too, and to say I control my body, I control what I eat, I control. There was a lot of that happened with that experience for sure. And then I went and got a colonic.
Huh. I
I
haven't
did
done that yet.
actually. Somebody said that's a good time to do it after a long fast. So that was an interesting experience that too, but I will say it was positive. It was a positive experience.
You enjoyed it all the way, huh?
Yeah.
I
I talk about being cleaned out
yeah,
from mouth to back end.
I just had to do it because they told me to I was going in for whatever it's called.
Colonoscopy.
Yeah, so
no,
I mean that's essentially doing it from the other end instead of forcing it.
Yeah, that's
no.
true. That's true. All right, let's jump in. Dana, let's see hear where you're at. We've been using kind of the general win challenge or something that you're looking forward to. But just kind of give us an update. Where are things at with you?
Sure. I can easily loop all three of those together. I'm in the back end of the side of the business that as operations I wasn't in charge of. and now I am. And as integrator, I was in charge of like keeping people like doing stuff, but I wasn't in their nitty gritty. So I am finding it good to be learning some of that stuff. I'm excited to be fixing and like getting the things working the way that they should and bringing some efficiency to programs. Like I got a guy on my team that's been complaining about not having time for this, that, and the other. And now I'm seeing, and this is also the challenge and the frustration. I'm seeing all the things that have been done objectively wrong for a while, and that like they, they took the opportunity where we had some options to do things correct in the system, and whenever they ran into problems, it was a another workaround and another workaround and another workaround that then led to hours and hours of audits and all these other things later. So I'm both. That's my like that rolls into. I'm really looking forward to being done with this project by the end of this quarter. Well, probably next quarter. I got because it's one of those things. It's shaving yaks, is what my friend calls it, where you're endlessly finding another thing to do. So like it's piled on more. I'm looking very very forward to cleaning up this portion of the business because it's so frustrating. Like and it how it is. Like it all makes sense. Like every workaround I've seen, every little thing that's not quite lined up, I'm like, I get why they did that. But now I'm cleaning it up and I'm the one guy that always complains or whatever. I'm just kind of like I said straight up to him a while back. I was like, all of this complaint you've been doing and saying you're too busy, had you just taken the moment to solve your problem, you wouldn't have this problem. And then one of them, he said, yeah, I saw that you could do this, but it just looked like too much to do. I'm like, well, that was your problem. You need to stop doing that and actually tackle your problem instead of creating new workarounds and you created your own problems.
Can we
So
dissect that
that
a little
was
bit, Dana? Like, if you could
sure.
give us some, what is the area and
Oh,
then the
it's
role of the person
billing,
that was supposed to do it?
procurement through billing, through invoicing, and what I'm doing right now is I'm cleaning up the process. But one of the things is I'm putting in the rule-based billing and auto task. It's gonna make auditing and all these other things faster. And he looked at that and said, "Oh, that's complicated. I don't want to do it." But
Yeah.
then and it is. And the problem is in doing it, like I figured out how to do it. I have all that laid out. I'm starting to do it. But then it's like, and then I'm getting into the different contracts and stuff. I'm like, oh, well, in this one, you decided that you wanted to tweak it this way, but didn't fully document it, and this one is tweaked this way. And this one is priced a little bit different, but why? And it's stuff that we had solved a long time ago in my head and in conversations, but then over time with sales and just making things easier and whatever. And like, oh, well, this client kind of wants this. That's fine. We could just do that type of conversations. But then that like leads to, me and my operations brain going like, that's not how this world works. like,
Yeah.
like if you did that, why are we charging this client less and this one more? And well, we're still supplying. Well, we're not supposed to be doing this for them. Well, we are because nobody knew you decided not to do that and to change the price on it. Or in this case, like he runs into a lot of audit issues and like clients coming back and saying like, well, we want this. And like rule-based billing is going to solve this thing where in doing it, I can assign the users and the devices to it. So they show up on the contract so that when you look and you say, hey, who's covered by XYZ, you can see it and you can follow back on each invoice. So you could see like, oh, well, if we messed up or if they didn't request it off or whatever, it's very trackable, right? But like, that's what some clients have asked for, I guess. I didn't know that, but they had asked for it a while ago. And that's when he discovered it. But I'm like, man. Anyway, like I said, I'm super excited about it. I actually even understand why they got there. But
Yeah.
man, is it frustrating. Man, does it tweaks my brain like every day. About halfway through the day, I have to go do something else because my brain is just exploding from like, God dang. But it's the same thing. It's the same thing like my kids. I just had a talk the other day. So it's the exact same thing where I was like, hey guys, the dishwasher is in 3 states. It's either empty, it's either clean, it's dirty, or it's running. If it's running, you can put something on the counter for when it's done running.
Yeah.
But if you walk over here to put a dish away and it's dirty, put it in there. If it's clean, put the dishes away, then put it in there. I'm like, those are your options. Same thing at a business level. So I thought that was pretty funny when I was doing that to my kids. I was like, oh, yeah, this is exactly the same. And so it's just human nature I got to get around, but it's going to be awesome.
So I
In the
want to
end of the quarter,
dissect.
awesome.
People
little
aren't
bit.
analytical anymore. People are not thinking for themselves anymore. They're not dissecting and walking through steps like that anymore.
Right. But yeah, and people just want to do the thing to get their day moving now,
Right.
and that's it. And they don't like, this is the thing that EOS tries to fight against and everything. It's like if they put it in as an issue, we could solve it. But instead, it's just like, well, I need a quick workaround, and then I'm going to move on with my day. But
Sweep it under
that's
the
the
rug.
right, and
Shouldn't
that's the thing. It's like when people do that, they should be putting it as an issue so we can fix it later. Even if you're doing a workaround, fine. Move on with your day if you need to. Write it down somewhere so we can solve the problem like we're supposed to do in the system that we work in. But I've
Yeah.
noticed that some people aren't as good about that. When it's gonna be an issue they're gonna have to solve, that they're gonna have to put the work in. Suddenly that doesn't get recorded because it's gonna land on their plate to do and they don't want to. So
so
that's what I'm noticing.
That feeds into my wins and challenges.
I want to just dissect a little bit from an organizational standpoint. Shouldn't your structure or culture have prevented that? You're allowing that to happen, aren't you?
Yeah, to a degree. And it's supposed to, and that's one of those where allowing and knowing kind of go hand in hand, right? So this is where the individual that was over that stuff is not really a manager type. And the way that
Yeah.
our structure was organized, that's what was happening, and that's where some of the problems originated. And I didn't have oversight of that to know that the problems were what they are until I now have that oversight. So it will be done now, but that's one of those without throwing names out there. That's one of those when I'm not the one in charge of that system, then I don't know that that problem is occurring because it's a lot of little things. It's a lot of little stuff that you'd have to dig in and see that I'm now doing. Does that make sense?
Is it? Yeah, I'm trying to get back to the ideal versus what happened
Yeah. The
in
ideal
is
is that your visionary isn't doing managing work.
right.
That's the ideal, and that's the push that has always been the case. That's not what happened here
Yeah.
for a lot of different reasons. So the ideal is when you have somebody over that stuff, they're actually a managing type person. Visionaries are traditionally not managing type people. Some are, most aren't, and that's where and when you get somebody whose main motive where their mode of operation needs to be say yes, solve problems, move forward because that's perfect for what a visionary does. That's not great for stop, do it right.
Was the person responsible for this a visionary?
Yes,
Oh, I thought it was more of somebody that was
it's
frontline being asked to elevate up
uh
into.
no. This is the finance team. So it was the
Okay.
visionary was in charge of that half of the business,
Yeah.
and the partner success manager was working under him, and that those are the two that had the problems.
Yeah.
That now you're tracking.
Yeah,
I
now
was,
I
I
got
was
you.
trying.
I thought it
I
was
was trying
somebody
to.
that was more doing the day-to-day work in it and it could have been both the visionary and the person could be
The
doing
partner
the day-to-day
success
work.
manager is doing the day to day, and
Okay.
he should have been, and he's one of them that's been doing the most complaining and having the problems that he could have fixed. And the other one is the one that's was over him though, and would have been solving and addressing and dealing with that was the visionary, and that structure wasn't there. So now I'm fixing it. So that's why I say I'm very
Are you
excited.
fixing the problem or the structure?
Both. So
Okay.
I'm I'm fixing the problem while I fix the structure because I
Yeah.
kind of believe that like one I'm doing it to it now I'm gonna know how it all functions. I do know how it all functions now, and now so it's a set it in a place, and then here's the process now to keep it here, to keep it working correctly, so that I don't have to do this ever again. That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
But
What I will tell you, this has been since I've worked with Wes and Mankato since 2012. This
mhm.
whole procurement thing has been a point of strategic planning and discussion every year. And their big fight with inventory, and they created their own kind of side. They use ConnectWise, which has some of this built in, but they just couldn't find it to work exactly the way they wanted. And so they just kick the can. And there's just
Yeah.
inefficiencies. And they would spend hours doing physical inventories and blah, blah, blah.
It's
And just
yeah.
finally, says, is somebody ever going to step up and just get a solution in place that we can be happy with? So they
Yep.
did hire someone who they included that had that expertise as they came in. So
Nice.
yeah, so they're finally getting that moving forward with it. But I find it interesting that you were kind of having the same. What solution are you using? I don't want to get too much into the details.
Well,
I'm just curious of.
sure. On the some of the billing stuff, we already have, like, I'm using Autotask to do a lot of that. And then
Right.
I hired Advanced Global. They're a firm that works with Autotask a lot or whatever to do to walk me through fixing my procurement side. I honestly don't think it's the end of the world, but that's the one where I was talking about last time where I had to pull the trigger, have somebody come in and coach me so I stop being in
Right.
the
Yep.
weeds on
Yep.
everything and get out of my way.
Yeah.
So now I like the way they do it. They do like 10-minute videos every day with a little tiny task to do and now it's a 6-week program for this one or whatever. But like, I don't, on the one hand, it's like, I just want to go. But they also are like, hey, now you've got a video library of everything you're doing so you can watch it back later if you forget stuff. Plus, it's something that you can't, that it's such a small thing, it's hard to rationalize not doing the actions on that given day. So you're more likely to be successful, is what they found. So it's kind of a neat concept they're doing. But yeah, so that's what I'm doing to fix our
Great.
auto tasking toward procurement stuff, and we use Quoter and whatever. And this is like you said, it's a problem in the space, and it's a problem you guys probably have in other spaces too, where apps like these things we work with, these tools want to say they do everything, and they really don't do most things very well. They do what they originally started, and then they tack
Yeah.
in other stuff. But then you're like, well, do I use that tool or do I go purchase another tool? And it's like, fuck, I'm tired of purchasing tools. So we'll use it and see what happens. I think it'll
Great.
work fine. I don't think it needs to be as complicated and bad either. That's why I'm frustrated to even be spending the money. Is like but this is a mental break I have that I need to get over. Of like, I look at it, I'm like, why has nobody solved this? So I'm just gonna pay somebody to solve it. But it's like, stop getting in your own way. Let's move forward. So now I'm gonna do that, and it'll be done. So yeah,
Awesome.
I'm very excited.
Is that rolled into kind of your win, your challenge, and you're looking
Yeah,
forward, wasn't it?
all three, because that's exactly what I'm doing. It's a problem. It's getting solved. I'm excited every step that I do, frustrated and excited. And like it's a very obvious by the end of next quarter, a significant improvement in like a whole half of my business that I hadn't had to deal with before. So once
Awesome.
it's done, it's going to be like, I know there will be cleanup. There's like some things here and there, but it's like you could see how it's going to function so much more smoothly, and that's process nerd in me is so excited.
Yeah, I'm the same way with a lot of the stuff that we try to promote because business owners don't want to do it, and I often am like, I love this stuff. I can't understand why they don't want to do this stuff. But hey, one other thing I did want to throw out at you, Dana, and it's something I have had conversations with JC about. We've been doing some vision building sessions and so forth. Where are you at towards your path of your ideal day when it comes to not when you're retired, but when you're in the business you're in, and are you feeling like you're far from it, or is that something that you could see happening soon that you're actually living your ideal day?
No, I'm there. Actually, like, in all reality, like, I like this stuff. I'm bitching about it. This is the session where we talk about what is going wrong and what frustrates me and all that. But like I've always said, if you're not fixing some chaos, you're not doing that stuff.
Yeah.
What are you even doing? If there's nothing in your business to improve, then you should probably go find another business because you're not doing something right. Like, there's never anything more to improve. So I'm living that for the most part. I'm happy, but I've also, I some of the this is a I've had shitty jobs. So like, you
Yeah,
know,
you appreciate when you
uh,
get a good when you can do what you love to do.
yeah, I like going in. I like fixing stuff. I like dealing with people. Um, I wish that all clients were happier and we didn't get some of those like clients that you're just like, come on. But that's reality and
Yeah.
whatnot. So no, I'm actually pretty happy overall. Like, and that's
And
um
you now have a pretty high level of autonomy there, correct?
I do.
That's been desired.
Yeah, I get to pretty much pick what I'm doing, which is a blessing and a curse, right? Like it's been for ages though. I don't think anybody's asked me what I'm doing forever. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like, or actually given me tasking that I haven't probably kind of taken on my own anyway, other than like a, hey, can you do this? And I'm like, yep. So like, yeah, I've had that for a while, which like I said, it's a
or do you ever
at
wish
a
for
younger
more
age,
direction from leadership? Do you ever want
not
more?
not not anymore. At a younger
Yeah,
age, I think so.
yeah,
Like I luckily have progressed enough down my career path stuff that it's, that I'm comfortable with it. But
right.
man, like people can get really lost without direction and stuff. You see it with people.
For
So
sure.
no,
For
I'm
sure.
overall I think pretty good. Uh, every now and then, I mean, I love goals. That's kind of the thing. Is like so if I got to pick a goal or somebody's gonna give me a goal, I love goals. I'll survive. I'll get that stuff done. Every now and then, I'll tell somebody I'm gonna do something because then I have a reason to get it done.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome. Great check-in. JC, let's hear what you're up to.
So very, very similar. I actually have something that ties together with what Dan was talking about, an issue that Trellis is going to help me out a lot with. Um, so I actually had already taken the time. We had a customer who entered the wrong bank information or whatever on a payment. Well, QuickBooks will still pay us, but then they'll take it back out after.
Yeah.
And so they pay us first, and then when the withdrawal doesn't go through, they just take it back out. So we charge back. And um, that happens rarely, so it's not like a common occurrence. So the last time it happened, I said, I don't remember how this happened before, but I'm pretty sure we documented it or how to take care of this, but I'm pretty sure we documented it. And then it turns out that we didn't, I did, and the answer was there. So I use that as a learning tool, but I also had a designer yesterday that happened to, and she emailed, I figured out what had happened because I just quickly went to, when I saw the chargeback, I quickly went into what's going on mode. And I looked into it and I said, look, here's the situation. Just reach out to the customer and let them know. And then the designer said, well, okay, I believe this is how I did it last time. But she said that in the response to the email to myself and to Nova, bookkeeper. And I I just said, I'm going to trust that Nova is going to take this over because she should now understand that we have a system for that.
Yeah.
So I mean, my old self would have jumped in and gone, Nova, you remember? But I got to trust that she did remember, and then I'll go and verify that she did remember, and give her the power. But with that's a great benefit of trust because I can always just say we've been here, we documented it, and don't waste anybody's time. It should be
Awesome.
smooth. So well, my win is I am my win, and this is going to sound funny, but I'm seeing where I have not put my priorities and focus and challenges life is now forcing me to. So like it all works together. Kind of like the whole visionary management thing. I understand what I have to do for a manager. I can't say I'm a great manager. Um, but I don't have anybody in that position yet. So what I'm trying to do is set that up and force them to learn to be the manager and
Yeah.
me to be the guide. And so it's good. And that's where we're working on together. And you're
Yeah.
forcing me to go. And so it's both a win challenge, frustration, everything. So same. It's kind of all wrapped into one. It's big enough to be top priority.
Yeah. So one of the things that I've been thinking about, related to what you just said, as far as the team and managers and what you're doing. And Dana might have some insights on this too, as far as um, not starting to provide responsibilities without titling manager.
Right.
There is a space in there to where within Trellis Tools world we call it a lead, and then
Yep.
they're assigned a chunk of the department as a function versus the whole department.
Which makes more sense for a small business like me because we
100%.
don't have multiple, we've got 6 employees that are full time. Like,
Yeah, it's
so
hard to pull people back from a manager title if they're not successful in it.
right.
And it's, Tom Foster and his teachings also talks about, you give people something, small bites and responsibilities. So it aligns with and is a lot of the same responsibilities of a manager would have for an entire department, but we're just focusing just on one area.
Yeah.
I
Right.
always use
And
accounting. Go ahead, Dana. I want to hear your thoughts.
oh, I was gonna say like you're right on, and like that bite-sized stuff too is when you fix the mistake most businesses have, where you can identify who's actually going to learn how to manage versus who's a really good worker, and you need to keep them being a really good worker because they're not going to be a good manager because it's such a different skill set, and different people will really latch onto it and do well. And you could tell if you start doing it slowly and you're doing it through mentorship as opposed to just putting them there.
And that's, and
Actually,
that's,
Evan, or yeah,
that's
go ahead.
where I have been. So it's, I mean, you know, the situation going on with Nova and coming out of bookkeeping, and I'm trying to get her into a different role, and creating this role. So I've been just bite sized. Let's start with, you know, Tom is going to take this off your plate. These 3 things. Now, there may be 10 things he's going to take off your plate later, but let's start with this. Make sure he's well trained, well documented, and then go from there. So, we are doing it slow. And I mean, I guess I could say my priorities have been in the right place, but I didn't realize that it's honestly my best spot for focus at this moment.
Kind of interested in exploring a bit, like mainly because I relearned this lesson for like the 5th time, uh, or probably not the fifth, but at least the 3rd time again, because we let go a guy that was not good, and he had his problems, and we had moved him to a new position. We thought we might do better there, but every time I've done that, it's gone badly. Like when somebody's not doing good somewhere else, I'm like, I think I got another place for them. What I really need to do is fire them. I have definitely learned that lesson now. I don't
Yeah.
know. Is there like, is there a good reason for the transition, or I mean, whatever it is, what it is. But I definitely have hard learned that lesson at least 3 times now, where I moved a body thinking, and it really wasn't the position; it was the person that was the problem.
Yeah.
And
No, I appreciate.
and every time I kick myself.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that mindset because I would say that's the mindset I'm using in this because first off, Nova can take on a lot, and some people just need to be trained and they have the capability. Um, we're at the I had to decide to add an extra position because what she was handling was just too much for one person.
Yeah.
So what I'm
Oh, got it.
so what I'm doing is I'm giving her the chance. Now I am seeing signs of her maybe she is not best suited for that position. So I'm working with her on it to a certain extent, but I'm starting to bring it up and say, look, this cannot happen. Like that is not, and being a little more strict than I have. And I'm starting to think, all right, if I had to fire, what would be the ideal situation? So I'm going into to protective mode too, but
Yeah.
I'm not,
Mhm.
we're not there. I'm training myself as I'm training her as we're growing. It's kind of all coming together, but
Yeah. I will
um
say that with our discussions and when you hired her and going through, I've felt, and if I'm being honest, her role is kind of confusing. You
oh
know,
yeah,
so, and I think I'm glad you've kind of realized
she's
that and have
she's
tried to, and
bookkeeping, HR, office manager,
yeah,
design support. Like
it's easy
she's
as a small business owner
everything.
who is good at doing a lot of different things to expect everyone else to.
Right. Right. So I'm
Um,
taking some off her plate so she can focus more on where it's better for us for the business
yeah,
to grow. And I,
Good.
I had a godsend moment. Willie, my warehouse guy, I mean, honestly, I went to school with him. He's very loyal, but he's a big dude, 350 pounds, does not take care of himself. When I first hired him for warehouse, he was going to the gym. He just got done at UPS after 19
Oh,
years. So he was spry for a big guy. And
yep.
but what happened was he kind of just got comfortable and he's probably gained 75 pounds back.
He's not doing
So
intermittent fasting.
no. So he went and did uh, he gained the weight. He had just started getting injured a lot. And
Okay.
I'd have to pick up where he was dropping. And then he wasn't really taking on the roles. He's very like, I'll do it, whatever you need, whenever you need it. And I'm your man. I won't let you down. And because I trust you so much and you're a good friend and this and that. But it got to the point where I was kind of being used by him and letting it go.
Yep.
I'd pull back into work and 6 out of 10 times he's sitting in his car having a butt, so like I was kind of getting taken advantage of. Well, to the point he had this growth on the back of his neck, which was pinching a nerve. And we spent about 2 months where he could not lift and he
Wow.
had to get surgery. So he was going to be out for 3 to 4 weeks. So we're coming to the end of that time now. He had the surgery about a month ago, and I had to find somebody to come in and help out even part-time. That's difficult.
Yep.
Well, I put some feelers out on Facebook, and my cousin, who's amazing, every time I have a question, everybody know an electrician, everybody know this. He's like first on it, Johnny on the spot. Um, he said, "Hey, I got this guy. I play cards with his dad. I know he's going through a change because he actually got a buyout from UPS or FedEx. He had only been there 3 years and he got $100,000 buyout.
Whew.
Yeah. So he's 28 years old and he thought he'd get into day trading. So he's like, he lives 7 houses down from our store. So when I talked to him, he was very honest. He's like, I'm not looking for full time. I'm like, great. I'm not looking to add another position right there now anyway. So that's good. And he goes, and I don't really need the work, but I like to work because I'm waiting on this buyout. And as soon as I do that, I'm going to be day trading. It's going to be 100% of my attention. So I brought him on at $5 more an hour than I ever thought I'd be paying. And he was willing to come in, whenever, because he only lives so. So he's like, if I come in the morning, 9, there's nothing to do after 11, I'll just go home. And if you need me, call me in the afternoon, I'll come back. I'm like, that is amazing. Because even though I'm paying him $5 more an hour, I don't have to pay him for 8 hours. Um,
Yeah.
so it just worked out. And that's why I said godsend. And then about the second weekend, he got his money and lost it all.
Jesus.
Yeah. So, well, and,
Yeah.
and, and
I'm
this
glad I
kid's
never had the money with that enough money worth losing in that because I
right.
punched through that a tiny, tiny, tiny bit and I'm like, not for me.
he's 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 a very bright person, and I would dare say when he said he lost it all, he lost all that he was going to invest.
Hmm.
Oh, okay.
So, I think it was in the area of 30,000, but after you get a hundred
So
thousand pay taxes, that's the majority of your chunk.
Yeah.
Anyways, he strong 28-year-old willing. I mean, anything I've told him, he's like, yeah, I can figure it out. He gets it done. Like he is the perfect replacement for Willie. But I'm so loyal. I'm now setting Willie up with his own company and helping him start his own business to do lawns and plowing
oh,
because Willie's a big guy. He doesn't mind being on equipment and riding. And so I'm setting him up with that. And he will still be the part-time as we grow call-in person. So it's a lot going on at once, but it's
But you're
it's
bringing
part.
Tom. I think the other point was you're bringing Tom in to do other things too now, right? Like
Right,
what?
because the warehouse is not full time. So that's why Willie would screw off, right? And unless I found more stuff, which created more work for me, I mean, he
mhm.
would he would do every once in a while I'd be like, Willie, there was trash was full downstairs like for the last 3 days. He knows that's part of his responsibility. So every once in a while I'd get on him about that. I'd be like, there's no reason for you to be sitting around, trash is full. Like he was property maintenance slash warehouse because we only deliver maybe if we were average out, I think it's like 3 kitchens a week. well, we could do two in one day and one in another, and receiving could be sporadic in between there or the same day. So you could have a really busy day and then a really dead day. So I just figured that Tom has the capability, and I am going to start him off where a little above where I would for just a warehouse guy, but he has the capability and the brains to. He's so organized. Like the girls already love him. That Willie would have forgotten a sink on this one delivery, and he was like, "No, I got that. I put it all together already." Like he's got the workings to make it easier for me. So, uh, that's a blessing that I've had recently, and I it was at the same time I'm gonna have to hire a part-time bookkeeper. Well, no, I don't. Now I found somebody that I don't have to hire a part-time bookkeeper, and I can keep more busy than just the warehouse. And I would never put Willie on bookkeeping because he's just not that detail oriented. So yeah,
Mhm.
28-year-old kid, strong, smart. Yes, he asked me, he's like, look, I actually in my short time I've been here, I'd really like to work for you if you would bring me on. So he asked me,
Good.
and I thought about it for over the weekend, and I talked to some of the girls, and it just made sense. So
Awesome.
yeah.
That kind of led from our discussion of documentation and lead and so forth. And um, right now, Nova's overseeing that work informally as a lead. I haven't looked in Trellis tools to see exactly what I'm assuming it's still. No, it is her. We actually, yeah. That's something we're going to be working on as the next step in our process here is to look at role assignments based on the functions and tasks, just, to clarify that.
Well, I can
So
tell you why it didn't work in the first place and why it's going to work now.
great. Let's hear it.
I thought I had to do it all myself. I thought I'll get this in going once I fill in all the information, once I do this. And I realized I was asking like Nova to help. Um, but she was doing it. She was documenting and getting stuff going, but I wasn't following up.
Will you
Um,
have Tom responsible for documenting the processes within accounting and bookkeeping?
yes, yes. And that's where like yesterday was my meeting, so team meeting, and then on Tuesdays, and then immediately after I have a one-on-one with Nova, and but I had to cut it short. But I asked her to bring Tom in so I could talk to them both at once about the assignment, and then um, because she is working with him in training, and I said, look, everything you've trained him on so far needs to be in Trellis.
Right.
And Tom, I told her when she started training Tom, work off what you already have in Trellis. So I don't know if she had or not. I said work off everything you had in Trellis already because it's going to act as both a review to make sure it's correct and training.
Right.
So and then I told Tom, take notes, see what she tells you. If you see a better way or anything different, bring it to my attention. And if not, go with it.
Or if it's incorrect, she might be telling him to do something that had changed that she hadn't gone back and updated the documentation for.
Exactly. So it was twofold.
Yep.
From a
Good.
training perspective, my one warning on that, because that's great. I love that. Like that's great training. But I would careful on the improvements until, which I'm
Yeah.
sure you're already thinking it, but like until they've had time. Like I used to tell people in the warehouse when I was training them there or whatever, it was always like, do it my way, do it the way you're trained
Sure.
first, and then tell me what's wrong with it later when you've been doing it for a while. Because like
I
the number of times that it turns out that it's actually fine is more often than not.
I
Um,
have learned that lesson from as I got busier in business, it just made sense. I'm like, wait, I don't have time to change what already works. So you got to go this way. And then if you see something, bring it up. Like then if you see improvement, but people would come into something and be like, well, I've never done it that way. Why don't you do it this way? I'm like, well, you've never done it my way. So why don't you try it my way? Then we'll discuss it.
Right.
yeah,
Um, and that so I had taken Tom aside already days prior and said, as this comes about, I want you to pay attention to what she says, look at all the documenting, write down notes, let me know if you have any questions, let her know if you have any questions, and then if you see anything different that
got it.
you think, go ahead and bring it up to me. But I said we got to do it, go through the system and get it going. And he probably could waste some of my time with those questions, but I don't think he would. I think he's bright enough where he wouldn't waste my time with it.
I would ask who's ultimately, is it clear to them as far as change goes, who gets to choose that if something changes from an accounting department standpoint? That would Do they know that or who is it right now? Who do you
It's still me
it's you. Yes.
until I
That
can
should
find
be
that
the right
person to
that's the
trust.
right answer.
Yes, it's still me until I can find somebody I trust to actually know more than I do about it,
Right.
and more of the business than I do about it. And
And that's
so
where we talk about the distinction of actually titling someone as manager. Because
sure.
if you have the manager title, you have given them the authority to make decisions about process
Yeah. No, I
and
just wrote
change.
that down. That was very powerful because I mean I just wrote not manager but lead.
Yeah.
Because I have been using that kind of, and I'm actually going to start using lead even with Nova more because it's more of like you're the lead on this, and then I'll use it with the others.
Yeah, I think, I'm not sure the timing on all of this, but the hope is, as right now I want us to clarify to make sure that the functions and tasks within the departments are all good, that has been. Then we'll go back through and decide two things: who's doing it, and that should be easy. The assignment of lead and versus task assignment versus manager, and then we'll get into our constraint analysis by function. So that's the other way a function will be helpful in this strategic planning is this truly an agreed upon strength or weakness that you can have wonderful discussions with them about that. And that will be in a few weeks. Sorry, Dana, I just
You're
wanted to
fine.
throw that in
I'm
as
listening.
well. So anything else that you have that's I guess kind of what's a looking forward to for you, JC?
Putting these things into practice better
Yeah.
and more
Mhm.
consistently. So
Enjoying the benefits of
and
them.
enjoying the benefits of taking responsibility off myself and putting it on somebody else because
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
definitely have been carrying too much.
Yeah, we've had our conversations about the ideal day. Do you want to say a little bit of that with Dana here as far as what you're thinking your ideal? Maybe it's changed a little, lately.
Right. So I mean, so we come back to vision, like there's a lot of I don't know if I'm saying this more for training because it was a question I wrote down earlier. Is the question not where am I supposed to be, and then how do I get there?
Yeah.
Because I believe that's it. Like the vision is where you're supposed to be, where you want to be, or should be based off some other standard, right? So am I going with should or want? And then I'm going back to like um I can see how it's confusing to a lot of people, like um to get to give up the control to get there. Um to say I know this is where I want to be, and then taking on too much, and which is where I've been.
Yeah.
So I'm excited, definitely excited about changing that. Now, my vision itself, no, I mean, I can see it growing. I can see it, new warehouse. I can see a second store. I can see how it's all going to pull together after this step, this step, this step, and this step, right?
Yeah.
So now I can't do that. It's a bigger step than all my prior ones. Each step is bigger than all my prior ones. So I'm realizing I can't do it alone.
Yeah. It's interesting. I had a recent conversation with someone about vision, and I think we confuse what we think of vision from the rewards versus what the business should look like, And I
Right.
think they're both valid. I think they're both part of vision. I think we should be looking at, seeing, I define vision as, describe your future experience. That's what vision to me is. What does the future look like for me, either in my business or in my personal life? And I think often we think in terms of business as the rewards, and I try to say, nah, think more about the vision as what you'll be doing, the
Right.
way you'll be engaging in the business. And I think that's a more healthy approach when it comes to
Yeah.
vision building within the business. When it
So
comes to the personal life, your personal vision, that then can be the boat, the car,
the time.
the time. The time is, yeah.
Yeah, we're all looking for time. We're all trying to make more time. I mean, invent more time. But so my vision for the business is that, and my vision for myself is once it was to get there, once it gets there, I would have somebody who takes over my management responsibilities that I have not been able to let go of at that point, and create a two-store manager,
Yeah.
and have a centralized store for bookkeeping, warehousing, and all that. So the other one could be like a
Like a
storefront.
headquarters.
Yeah, so I got like a headquarters, which is the what do they call it? The Target store, or um the main, when you go to the main location, what do they call it? Not headquarters, but like in a retail. Um
Uh,
back shoot.
I'm thinking the non one is a branch.
Right.
That's
So
the
that
one
would be
that's
a
not
The
what you're
branch of.
hub?
talking about.
You looking for a hub?
No, no, it's not Pilot, but they call it there. It is something in the retail world.
That might be an
Um,
East Coast thing. No.
Yeah, but you're talking about like the primary original store that like that, is that what you're referencing?
Flagship.
Like
Flagship.
there you go.
Very
So
good.
so be the flagship with headquarters intermixed, and then the others can then be just off. They can literally. I don't need warehousing. I don't need a bookkeeping office. I don't even need HR. I just need a manager. So because managers at the HR is at the headquarters, So yeah, so I see that when it gets to that point, I'm a phone call away at all times. I'm probably doing a meeting once a week, like nothing crazy. I'm getting reports sent to me and
Yeah.
checking them off while I'm drinking my coffee in the morning, and like that's the vision for me. Once it gets there, but I have to get there before I can worry about. I can see that's how it's going to turn out.
Yeah. That's a very common, and I think that's as far as the visionary being able to spend less time in the business and then their time being more strategic.
Yes.
Um, and I think that's pretty classic with the EOS world and most people that I talk to. I do have one business owner that is a very successful business, and his passion is internal operations.
Mhm.
He's one of a million, I think, where he comes to he's oversees the accounting, he oversees HR. He's the office manager, and it's a $5 million a year company. It's pretty big. He's got 30 employees or something like that, and he loves the nitty gritty. He doesn't sell. He doesn't. It's a print company. He's not involved on the shop floor in any way.
Right.
Um,
And
he does.
I'm doing a bunch of that, but my ideal thing is to stop with the I'm a jack of all trades, I'm the expert on
Yeah,
each thing we have, and say, now you're the expert on this, and you're the expert on this, and now
yeah.
you're the expert on this.
The point I was making is everybody gets to pick their journey or what they
Yeah.
I always say there's like most people I think the progression is towards being the lead salesperson or the head of promotions and marketing and sales as a business owner, um, versus somebody who might pick to want to out bring in and bring leadership in the sales side of things, but then they want to focus on overseeing service delivery.
Hmm.
Rarely do I see somebody pick the middle, that internal operations focus.
Right, right.
That would be me.
I
That
mean,
would
I'm digging it right now. I have to put myself in your mindset. So I'm like, think of it as an actor role, right? Like I've got to practice
play the
and
part.
get in the moment and play the part and I am enjoying it. I'm thriving at it as I'm going along.
Yeah.
But I also worry, okay, am I getting too focused on this and letting other things go? So it's like, but I still have to find that focus. So I'm enjoying the process.
Yeah, you got to pick and choose. All right,
Right.
I'm gonna quick give my check in here. I would say I've got an interesting challenge that's not necessarily mine, but that I'm part of that I thought would be a really cool, interesting um, thought process from a collaboration. And so, as you guys know, I've started supporting and working with this church, and
Mhm.
they have a space that used to be the library. And there's a split within the congregation of whether they should maintain this library or that a library is no longer needed. And so the congregation has been very split on it. And they have, and in addition to, so they have a library committee, of course, there's all these committees. And then they also have an or an interiors committee
Are
who,
these volunteer committees?
these are
Maybe.
volunteer
Yeah,
committees.
yeah.
So the interiors committee is about how to create aesthetically pleasing spaces throughout the congregation. Whether I think it's partly the church, but there's also the altar guild does a lot of that. So there's their desires and their vision of what that space should be. But then back to the library. So they took a vote. The board voted to say we're keeping the library. So the interiors was disappointed because they wanted to convert it to this high-tech conference room because they said we need to be about high tech and messaging and social media to be relevant nowadays. So there's been this split, and it's really caused the board president. There's like really heated emotions happening around this because they want to come in and can tear all the shelves down and put up, making it a more conducive. So I've been pulled into it from an operations standpoint,
Yeah, good.
so
They
um,
need that.
the good news is I don't have decision-making power, so I'm more there from just my 2 cents on operations and what it would take to get these things done. So they've proposed several different projects, and a lot of them conflict because the library committee is proposing, barcode scanners and how are we going to arrange things in the books. And the interiors committee is proposing new bookshelves, and all
Can
of
I,
these. They're
before I
just
forget,
they're not
can
on
I,
the same page.
can I flow something out before I
For
forget?
sure, please do.
I would approach this as, and I would present the fact that it's two conflicting things, right? We got old church, new church. We got, I guarantee you, the people that are in there are very traditional, and we got people in there going, "Hey, the world is not learning that way anymore. The world is learning this way." So, what better opportunity to mix? What better opportunity to create the table, keep the books, but talk about that within the
Yeah,
church?
to the president's um, credit, he sent out this long email, and that's why I decided to bring it into this conversation. I just read through his, email this long. I mean, huge, and I just found it. He did a pretty good job about framing what's been going on. And part of the problem with the board sort of approved, they said, we have funding from this other, somebody just passed away and they received $100,000. So the interiors people are like, boom, we have all the financing we need to do what we want to do in that space. Um, but then, so they felt that because the financing was there, it was approved. And the president was like, no, 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 we didn't approve this yet. Yeah, because they thought the only reason it wasn't approved was the financing. But now, so he left it with, and here's my uh, kind of challenge in it that I'm going to probably get involved in. He said for the two chairs to get together and come up with their own solution. I'm not sure that was a good idea.
No, he needs to suggest, and I mean, so as I've told you about my journey with faith and through churches and stuff, and new ideas are very difficult to bring up in a church settlement, just like in a business. It's no different. Like
Yeah.
if somebody really sees something, sometimes if up top they're hard, this has always been the way, this is it. But somebody comes in with a new idea and fresh, and it can get resistance, and that is the church today. So the people that have been there forever have seniority, and they deserve respect and all this stuff. But they should be presented in a teaching way of what's changing. You know, so it's like teach with kindness and
I kind of
say,
felt he was, and there's a new president coming on board who has just got brought into the mix. So it will be interesting. Are they going to be able to calmly and logically create a solution for for that space to be shared with the intentions of both sides?
yeah,
Can
Well,
it be a
I
functioning
think
con Go ahead, Dana.
from from a different perspective, right? Like you're when you said kind of got me thinking this, so I'll preface. When you said like the new group wants to conference room and social media, well, that tells me they might not like who's in charge of that and what's the actual outcome and do they actually have the skills to do that? Because that's more complicated than people think. And a conference room has nothing to do with good social media. So that's kind of a so like the question I guess I have from a operations perspective that is worth bringing in is like what what data do you have? What actual plan, what thoughts, what expectations, what KPIs exist around whatever your plans are. Because it's really easy to just spend this money. It's not your money. You're just a volunteer and you're like, ah, this is a cool idea. But like, do people really want that? Are they really
Yeah.
going to use it? Like, how's that really going to play out? Because on the one hand, yeah, you want to bring in fresh blood and all that. On the other, my mom is like really big into doing the book club and stuff in her church, and that keeps them coming back and sharing books and doing this stuff, and like that's a thing that they do a lot. So like taking some of that away, also, you know, it's a little short sighted on some of those people. Eventually, it might shift around, but like, what are the actual outcomes you're looking for? Like, for instance, the interior group wanted to turn it into something so it would be more electronic and modern. Well, then you shouldn't be against barcodes because if you start scanning your books and they got
Yeah.
barcodes, then eventually maybe you say, hey, nobody's coming into the space to read. They are using the books. So if we digitize it and they can access it, now we both win. And eventually maybe the space can shift because we store the books differently and we just give them to people when they're asking, you know what I mean? Like there's
Yeah.
ways to win-win on that if you
That's the hope.
but right, and but that's where you kind of wonder when they're getting into the heated stuff is like making them actually like outline like what's the real root like again, what's the problem? What are you trying to solve? What outcome do you really want going into that visionary, all that stuff that you do typically as an operations guy with businesses, right? Like but at a smaller level with each of these groups, like what are you really trying to accomplish? What's the actual pain you're trying to resolve? Not these grand ideas.
Yeah.
Let's get that on, like the EOS issue thing. Let's get the actual issue down and then explore to the root of the issue and solve that. Because otherwise, if you're just solving the top level stuff with the ideas that the people have brought that they're emotionally invested in, now it's just going to be argument, argument, argument because people are emotionally invested in their own ideas.
Yeah.
let
I
me
think to
play.
the board's shortfall or the board's lack of doing this in the right way, they are allowing people's personal preferences to be dictating what's happening there
Yes.
versus the mission and vision of the congregation as a whole.
Well, that's
They
Right.
tough. That's tough too because I'm going to go complete devil's advocate here. This is where so you've got you've got a church that you get a church that does need to grow to come into the future. You've got, I mean, it's the way people are learning today. So, think of it like this is how I explain it. Think of it like fighting fire with fire. Yes, social media, scrolling, all that stuff is evil. It's killing us, but it's where people are at. So you got to get them where they're at.
yeah.
So you have this younger, more technological grouping coming into faith, and they've been given the responsibility. Sure, bring us up to speed. They've been given that responsibility, and their ideas getting shot down. So what they need to do is understand the and respect the tradition, but sell their point in a better way. They need to sell that it is
Yeah.
it is
So it comes down to the bookshelves right now. I should have mentioned, they already installed a huge display and for doing Zooms. They have a conference table that was put in there and brand new chairs. It's So and then a computer to run
I'm a
that.
designer. I could probably intermix that room the way they
So right
wanted it,
now,
you know? So it's just about creativity at
there's
that
these
point.
big, ugly, old, dark oak, dark stained bookshelves in there that the Interiors Committee
Yeah.
hates.
Yeah.
Oh, I would love those.
They well,
Like,
another thing that would help them is if they had somebody actually mock something up of what they're thinking, and but again, be proactive and be concerned about other people in tradition. So if you kind of were to mix it together and say this is what growth looks like, you
The
know,
question is, can those two committee leaders be rational and come together towards problem solving and collaboration
that's a different
that,
problem, isn't it?
that they could?
well,
I think the president's testing that right
I
now.
was gonna say that's a different problem.
He's testing
well,
that.
are they even arguing the same issue?
Yeah.
Because you mentioned bookshelves for one, and the other one wants to spend the money on barcodes on increasing
Oh,
their
the barcodes
efficiency.
is not a cost. That's like
Oh,
$100.
so that's what I don't understand then. What's the
The
real
library
problem?
committee wants to just get going and start moving. They moved all the books out of that space into a room in the lower level,
Right.
and they've done some of these improvements towards conference usability. And then to these bookcases come all the way down to the floor, and they want it. The interiors committee wants to put carpet in, but they said we want to have the opportunity to remove those bookcases later. How is that going to look if we have carpeting coming up to them and then we eventually remove them? So that whole carpeting thing has been brought all this to the front. Like we have to deal with this right now because do we want to get the carpeting to go up to the bookcases or do we want to somehow remove the bookcases temporarily so we can get the carpeting to the wall because the interior people think they might eventually convince to get rid of the bookcases. So
Hmm.
that's
So it's not so much about the overall use of the room, it's about how to get from point A to point B. They already know where they're going.
it originally was, and then I think the Interiors Committee gave up on it just being this high-tech conference sort of space and said, all right, fine, we're not going to be able to fight the library use. Can we at least have it be? I think the woman, my guess, came from corporate America, the Interiors Committee chair. She likes, corporate feel and likes, she believes in it. It's right. I agree a good collaborative space, a good space where they have good tech for video conferencing and that sort of thing. And they do quite a bit of that. The board meets in there now. We are using that space as a conference room now more than a library. Well, the books
Could
are
you
gone.
imagine if it was just a library, you'd have like two people a day, honestly, sitting in there. But if you have a mixed use, you probably have, 15,
That's
20.
it's not a huge space. I'm
Right.
guessing it's probably, 15 by 40. It's a
Yeah.
long sort of, I mean, so it's
But you'd hear crickets if you went in there to grab a book, probably most days. And if it's like, well, we do need this space as well, and combining it is
and I'm
smart.
trying to keep my personal. I'm like, they proposed to put the library downstairs. That's what I would have said, great. This, but they want it prominent. They want people coming into the church area to see they have a library. They feel that knowledge sense is important messaging.
What's a prestige thing too? Having a good library looks, even if people aren't using it a ton, it does actually look good. It does have a certain carrying to it that the standard, you know, tech space
Yeah.
everywhere doesn't have. But that's the other argument on the
Yeah.
on that back end is that which so anyway, I see how they all are conflicting, but it sounds like they're gonna keep they already made the decision to keep the library to keep the shelves for now.
Correct. Unless the
But if
Interior Committee can propose a way of holding that many books. The other criteria is if you do propose a new shelving system that meets the higher aesthetics that she wants in that space, it cannot reduce the a number of books that will fit. Because she wants to hang, she doesn't want them to be, she wants wall mounted, but that's a lot of weight.
Yep,
Yeah.
yeah,
So he's like, I'm open, but you need to come up with the solutions for this. Otherwise, it's going to stay. The criteria is the books are coming back, and there you need to fit this many books in this entire space.
I would
And
argue that's he did the right thing there because if he didn't do that, he's going to have this interiors person constantly harping. And what she's really, my impression, not knowing anybody, but just hearing it, she's trying to keep her extra dream alive that's been voted down and thinking, well, if I can inch forward on removing the shelves now, well, then I can inch forward on changing it. And like,
Yes.
oh, if we have
Yeah,
less shelves, then I can bite size, take it away, take it away, take it away, take it away, which is honestly kind of a crappy, like, to me, that's not a great way to do things, but
yeah,
that's what it looks like to me. So if he says, well, figure out a solution that does not change what has already been agreed upon, fantastic, figure it out. And if you don't, then you're
yeah,
going with what's been agreed upon. I
yeah,
think that's a good move on his part if they already made the decision and she's trying to then twist to another
yeah.
angle. Not that it's the right decision for, not like saying modernize or not or all that. Like, that's different. But from a, hey, you guys figure it out, that actually makes sense from a visionary leader perspective of saying, like, we already agreed on this. I'm not redoing this decision. If
Right.
you guys want to figure out a way to work within the decision we've made, fantastic. But I'm not changing it just because you now want something slightly different because we have the money.
Yeah.
Nope, that's not how this works. Because if he gives into that, I guarantee that interiors person is going to be like, well, now I'm going to keep needling in a little bit more.
Yeah, well, I'll keep you posted. This has been kind of
I'm
an
interested.
interesting.
Now I'm invested. Now the drama is real.
So my other, as a potential looking forward to, it, I have been noodling around in various different ways, doing more recorded considerations. An example, I do onboarding for our solution and implementations for it. And I have preferred in the past to do them live and remote, Zoom based and doing them live. I just feel like I have better engagement. But I'm starting to get a feel more for maybe doing some of the content for those as recorded, either formally in a library, like you talked about, Dana, the training they're doing for you with these short little recordings. It sounds like, is that
Yep.
correct? So
Yeah,
I'm
I
thinking
was
of
gonna say
replicating that.
you should talk to them. I bet he'd be Stephen Busey with Advanced Global. He'd probably, because what they do, their method is, because they're consultants, but they say we've done this however many times. So like they've got a whole pre-recorded, generally 10 minutes. Maybe up to 20. I don't think I've ever seen one up to 30 minutes
Yeah.
video series. It's kind of frustrating to some visionaries, but they get over it, right? Like, of the, well, I want to just get going, but it does make sense. And now you've got this video library. And then so he does an intro, and then every 2 weeks he does an in-person,
Yeah.
um, where he talks over, and you can schedule some extra time or whatever, but like, where then you go over it with him and any questions you've been having and all this stuff, you go over it and
Yeah.
whatnot. And they're reachable for consulting and stuff. But yeah, he's like, it's a program. You're going to follow the program because that's what you're paying for. You're looking for this result. Here's the program. It's 10-minute videos, bite-sized chunks. You got questions, let me know. We'll talk about it by email or whatever. Or if we need to schedule an ad hoc in person, we'll do that. Um, we'll do some of it. If you need us to do stuff for you, we'll do it, but within
Yeah.
reason, because they want you to be doing it on your own, so you're learning it. So it's a really interesting model. I've never run into anybody doing it that way before. And at first, Brian was a little turned off at first when we first started doing it. He's like, this is so annoying. Why are we
Yeah.
doing
That's
this? And
my
we were doing
fear.
it because I knew the guy and I had read his stuff. I knew his stuff. So that's kind of why so that is the hurdle, right? Because Brian was like, I don't know. But then when he did it, Brian, like, he's even said, he's like, I was a little annoyed, but it really worked. He's like,
Yeah.
they
I,
knew what
I
they were doing.
appreciate
We
that
really got
feedback because that was
results.
my fear.
Yeah. And I liked it from a back end, because then like Brian did stuff and he made choices to do this, that, and the other. But now I can watch through the videos on the original training and I can see, well, he made this decision because of this, or you know what, I bet he didn't do this because he just didn't feel like we needed to, but I'm going to implement that bit now. Like, because I can watch through the original series we did for the previous program we did with them, right? So like I do that. I went through it all. It took a little bit because it was like 30 10-minute videos, but throw it on 2 times and now I know everything that he taught him. And that's
Right.
kind of nice because I'm planning on doing that with this procurement one. My whole goal with this procurement model is I'm going to take it. I'm going to build the system because that's what I like to do, right? Like I like building the systems on the back end. I'm going to make sure it's all functional. and then I'm going to turn it over. That's my big thing is I want to be able to turn this over and not have it be my baby anymore. So
Yeah.
I'm going to be able to turn over how to do it. But hey, also, if you're ever curious as to why we're doing it this way, whoever I've turned it over to, here's the 30 videos I watched to get
Right.
there, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And
And that's my
so,
intention, I think, is that. And also I thought about in a sales capacity to do follow-ups that have some concepts or, things I want to portray in helping to educate them on our process and so forth, almost as a primer or to an actual conversation or as a follow-up to a conversation that we may have had instead of doing the demo scheduling. And let's say they're interested in the tool I've created Intrigue, which is my goal for initial meeting. Instead
mhm.
of following up with another meeting with them, to just say, hey, here's a link to the recording of or a video of a demo for Trellis tools.
Let
And
me
then
ask you,
go
I
ahead.
get two thoughts on that. So one, I think it's a great idea because you must be repeating yourself over and over and over again, right? So
On
Mhm.
some things,
so there's that part. But I also thought like a lot of your stuff though, it's important that you are there and speaking with them because you're getting the feedback at the same time as you're training. So it's faster for you. So what if it was like a PowerPoint where you do a video, they have to answer the question, then click forward. So you're getting feedback while training.
yeah. So I
Well,
look at
what,
kind of what we've been doing, JC, and what I would be proposing would be before we meet with our scheduled time where I want to focus on your specific needs and you would have to watch 10 minutes of concepts to make sure you're up to speed and understand the language we're going to be speaking when we meet.
Oh yeah, no, that'd be super helpful because you've got next stage. So like I could do that with my clients on our website, right? Like what do you expect in this first meeting? Here's what to expect in the first meeting and what
Yeah.
we will need. Yeah.
I
that's
mean,
And
what
it's more of the concept methodology stuff that I would do the recordings on, and then when we meet, we're talking about you and your business and organization and teams.
right.
But
well,
at
and
least go ahead.
on that lines, what this guy does is he sends these are all sent in emails. He also sends homework with it. And so like we do a kickoff call. He went over that, did his overview. He sends the first email is like an overview of who they are in general with a video. The next one is like, here's an overview of the program along with an Excel sheet that outlines exactly what the program is. He's like, you can hit the drop down and highlight the videos you've already watched and put notes in there on what you're doing. On that first call, he's asking you your pain points. He's asking you everything. So he kind of knows how that's going to fit in the program and can advise you on it and stuff. So it's
I first,
functionally, you should talk to him. I'm telling you, you should
yeah,
give him a
I would.
call. Or if you
I
want me
would
to
be
introduce,
interested.
like, because
And
he's
the
gone
reason I
through the
would,
sales bit.
I have a hang up for some. I've been thinking about doing this for a few months, but I
Yeah.
just can't get myself to sit down and do it for some reason. I have some emotional hang up to it. I think I don't know if I don't like to record myself necessarily. I feel like that always comes off negatively. So I think I'm trying to just tell myself just do it, and if they're bad, don't use them. You
Well, I
know?
think it's how you scale. Like, to me, like, I don't know if you're like me. Like, I like working with people, even though I'm an introvert, like, dealing with the people's problems and learning about their business and like helping them navigate is rewarding. And having those conversations feels good and it's rewarding. But to scale, you need a way to be able to help them improve without
Yeah,
being as involved, because otherwise you run into the same problem that all consultants run into, which is
yeah.
time. Like I don't have time to keep consulting. So I think that's why they probably did this. They ran into this, but like, but I don't know if you're like me. I mean, like I think from a consultant perspective, there's a certain amount of it of like, but I like talking to people and doing all this stuff. But you've made this decision to turn the corner on that and not be that. And therefore, I think the other stuff, if you can get past the initial hang up that people have with some of that, is to mix together and still, and that's what I liked about this thing is it
And if
mixes
they're
together the
short, like
video. Right.
Brian's apprehension, if he had to watch 2 hours, that's one thing. But 10
Well,
minutes, you can usually convince someone.
the Brian's apprehension, right, and this is a lot of visionaries, is that he wants to do it now. When he's
Yeah.
excited about something, he wants it done by the end of the weekend. But that's not conducive. And the reason this guy didn't do that is that's not conducive to building good lasting process, right? Because like you'll hammer through it, but little things are going to get missed, and then you're going to have a process that doesn't function right. So anyway, I'm not I find I'm overselling this thing, but I think it's a neat idea. I know I haven't run into other ones. I'm pretty fascinated by what he's doing, and I think it has some functionality. Um, but I don't know, right? I don't know how it pans out in the long run when you're like, hey, how
I
do
just have
we?
to do it. I
Yeah,
just have to do
or
it.
like Stretty, what they've done is they onboard you or whatever, but they do videos that are short and stuff in their chat, like in their like in the application, you open up the chat and like you got a question, it's like they have or when they implement new features or whatever, like you can find it just right in the little help in a bubble in the bottom.
Yeah.
Like you
I'm
can
even
get to
wanting
those
to do when
videos.
people have questions to whip up Trellis tools, start my recording and just do a quick instructional recording and send it to
Yeah,
them.
and then
I
you
want to
have
do
it.
more. I need that to become second nature for me to where I don't have any emotional hangups about it. I just get in there, I do it and send it. And for me, I'm going to do it and then watch it and say, this sucks. And then I'll try to do another cut. And then I'll do another one. I'm like, this isn't quite, I may have stumbled on my words and then do another cut. What should take 10 minutes will take me 2 hours because I want it perfect to email it out.
Yeah,
Dude,
But
these videos that
over
he sends out to a
criticizing
bunch.
yourself. I don't know what that's like.
It just makes it human. Some of these guys'
Right.
videos he
that's
could
what I'm trying
record
to tell
over because
myself.
he made like little errors here and there, and they're in the videos because he probably had a similar hang up and then was like, fuck it. You know what I mean? And lo and behold, like when you're watching it, it makes it not seem like, oh, it's just this overproduced thing that's not
Or just
engaging. It's
do
like, the guy made a mistake. Cool. Haha, you made a mistake, and then move on. And it makes you more endearing rather than less. So
or
Yeah,
just
I've
do
heard
like
that.
everybody else is doing and hire AI.
don't do
I
that.
I would
I'm
never.
joking. I'm joking.
Hey,
But that's how you can tell. That's how you can tell the sincerity and authenticity, right? It's a real person. So
Yeah,
there's a lot to be said to that.
hey, Dana, you guys aren't ever considering the help desk being an AI answer, right?
entirely. No, no.
Marco just started it. I tell you, I'm so pissed at them for it. It was implemented very poorly.
Mm.
One, AI isn't ready. Uh,
No.
so that is a big problem. It's not ready. And two, at least for us, Marco makes sense. They're national. They've already treat their people like robots anyway. When we're
Yeah.
working with clients, like one of our selling points is that we're here. You know what I mean? Like art, honestly, they're not doing it really fully, but like a little bit here and there. But like, you're not getting AI answers from us. But if they were, I would rather our tech be working with the AI and then translating as a
Yeah.
human to people. If you were,
Yeah.
if anything, right? Like, no, I think because like AI is detectable, it feels wrong. It's that uncanny valley. And the other side of it is like, at least on tech support, because I don't think it's there, is that AI is really good at knowing how things are supposed to be and telling you how it's supposed to be. So they lie all the time, so that doesn't help. But they're not great at when you say, "Hey, that didn't really work. Give me a different solution." They give you like the same solution worded differently. Like they're not great at like the next step and the next step and the
Yeah.
next step. Maybe I'm just bad at it, right? I haven't spent much time with it, but no, I can't see. Maybe someday. I think the threat to our industry from AI is not AI necessarily replacing all techs. I think the threat to IT spaces is that it's going to threaten data entry jobs. And so it's going to reduce the number of
Well, that's what this was.
devices.
It was the help desk dispatcher role.
Yeah,
I mean, I
yeah,
called into it and they were asking me questions about the nature of the issue and it was trying to get an SLA together. You could tell, and
yep,
then they used to be where I would call and get somebody to remediate it, right? No matter what the issue was, I could get transferred to somebody who would help work on it right now. They've stopped doing that. And I get that you need to keep align your text with the issues and that sort of thing. But we pay a lot for that service with them that I would have hoped that would have been maintained.
but
But
well, devil's advocate. Not every issue, like not every issue should be going straight to a person on the phone right now. Like our dispatcher will sort stuff and talk to you and whatever, but like getting I think that's not great for managed service providers to be
I
throwing you at
know. I
I
know.
don't, because as a provider, you wouldn't want to do that because like that's allowing the text or the client to dictate your day. That's bad IT.
Well, then I followed their process, and then the AI gathered the information and said someone will contact you. And
Yep.
it was a couple of days, I think, before
Oof,
somebody contacted me.
that's a problem.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I
anyway,
still wouldn't do it. It feels bad. When you detect it's AI, people instinctually are trying to do everything they can to end around the AI, right? Like just like when
there
it
wasn't
called
an
it, like,
opportunity. They weren't
no,
allowing
I
it.
know, I know, but that's an indicator of how bad how bad it is for customer service. Because like we're also used to when you call or whatever, being like, give me an agent, give me something else. Like
Yeah.
nobody wants the computer. So anyway,
I do have a 1 o'clock here, so I do need to head out. This has been a great call.
well,
Good stuff. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Talk to you
later.
later.
See you, Dan.
Bye.